Are we live? Never sure when it's really on. Okay, here we go. This week's Real Estate Minute, we're going to talk about should you sell in this market. As you probably have heard, it is a seller's market. Homes are going, they're selling quickly, they're selling for top dollar. You probably have some equity in your home if you didn't buy it in the last year, possibly even if you did buy it in the last year. So people are starting to think about, should I sell? My home's probably worth more. I'm going to get more for it. But there's some things you need to think about. The main one is, why are you selling and what is your plan next? So if you are being relocated, like many of my clients get, they get PCS orders, they move with the military, they don't have a choice, they're going, they have to sell. Do you have a rental that you have been wanting to get off your plate? This is a great time to liquidate that rental. Not that having a rental is a bad thing. It's not by any stretch, but if you weren't necessarily intending, maybe you got orders and had to move and it wasn't a great time to sell, and so you decided to rent for a while, this is a great time to get that rental off your plate. Now, obviously, there's some things you need to consider with your tenants if that is what you decide to do, but it could be a time for that. If you're moving, this is a great time to sell. If you're moving regardless, this is a great time to sell, obviously. If you are wanting to upsize or downsize, if you're just tired of your home and wanting to get into something else, may or may not be a great time to sell. You'll sell your house fast, you'll get top dollar, but probably, no guarantees. But in this market, you're likely to get, more than you would have 2 years ago. For your house, you're likely to be able to sell it. However, it's going to be harder to buy because it's a seller's market. So if you're planning on buying something new, we can still make it happen. We're getting people under contract every day. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you need to expect to pay top dollar for whatever you're buying. So you might get top dollar, but you're going to be paying top dollar. You're going to be in a competitive market. You're going to probably lose out on some offers. And you're going to need to have some thick skin to get through this. So, not saying we can't do it. We can certainly do it. We're doing it every day. But it's a challenge right now to be a buyer. So if you're selling to move into something local, bigger or smaller or different or whatever, just be prepared for it to be challenging. Another thing to think about is, do you have any kind of short-term housing options? Are you willing to stay in an Airbnb for a while? Are you willing to, stay in your RV and camp and do that thing for a while? There are options out there, but what are you going to do if you sell your house before you're able to close on a new house and you're not able to line those things up? If there's a gap, what is your plan? You need to have a plan right now because it's tough. It might take a little bit of time, might take longer to find something to buy than it does to sell the one you're in. But again, it is a seller's market. So if you have an extra house that you're just needing off your plate, or if you have to move because you have to move, or hey, you have an RV and you're thinking, I can go hang out at a campground the rest of the summer until the market chills out or until I find the right house. Another option that might work with a little less hassle is new builds. You've probably heard me say it before. You will hear me say it again. We do not have a ton of new builds in this area. The selection for that is incredibly limited. And there's lots of factors we won't get into with that. But it is a little less of a mosh pit in the competitiveness there in the new builds. So if you're looking for something new, we might be able to manage that without a lot of hassle and line up your closings for that. So that could be an option for you. So there you go. Maybe it's a great time to sell. Maybe it's not. It kind of depends on your circumstances. I'd be happy to talk through your specific circumstances and logistics of what that looks like for you, because as I always say, it's different for everybody. It depends on your situation. So give me a call or shoot me an email or a message here if you would like to go over the specifics and see what's right for you. Have a great rest of your week.